want it to be.
Your
Like,
thing.
I don't want you to think about me when you think about Black Nerd Mafia. I want you to think about Black Nerd Mafia when you think about Black Nerd Mafia. I want you to think about this when you think about. I don't want you to think about me. So like, I honestly was like, cause like for the video I was gonna do, I got this mirror face mask or whatever, and I was like, so I was like, I'm gonna wear that shit. I was gonna wear it for the interview, and I was like, that'll bring the room views up. But then like, then I was like, some of the shit I'm gonna talk about is probably when. They would think I was wearing a mask for a reason for a different reason, you know what I'm saying? So like, yeah.
Kwasi, what's going on, King?
What's going on, sir? How are you?
Man, Black Nerd Mafia is in the building.
I mean.
We here, it's Thinking Kingdom. Welcome to Thinking Kingdom Media, where we have real conversations with real people. And we share real music here as well. I've been knowing you, man, and partnering with you for some time now. And I just want to say I thank you for being here, man, and sharing this platform with me.
Cool.
But one of the questions that I ask people when they come on, or the first question I ask people when they come here is, who are you, Kwasi? For the people that don't know you, that have never seen you before, man, who are you?
Black Nerd Mafia is my company. It's me and my son's company, actually. I have a 17-year-old son. It's our company.
What is Black Nerd Mafia, man?
Black Nerd Mafia is more of it's an actual company. It's an LLC that, you know, me and my son own, but the genesis of it is more like Black Nerd Mafia is more of an idea than a company. Like, basically just like black people not having to fit in any kind of box of blackness, you know, like, you know, if you like to surf or mountain climb or read books or whatever it is the fuck that you like to do, you know, Black Nerd Mafia is like wants it to be cool for you to do that thing without having to explain yourself or have people saying like that's not black or you ain't black because you do this thing or because you speak this way or whatever. So it was kind of a mentality. It's just more of a mentality of an idea like, you know, you can be black and that doesn't mean that you are this stereotypical version of a black person. Like you can be whatever the fuck you want to be. So that is, I guess that's a short version. The long version is, I work in IT. So why IT can be predominant. There ain't a lot of brothers in IT. I put it that way. Whatever. Where I've been working. In this one particular office I was working in, it just so happened to be that it was like I had two homeboys from Brooklyn. They from Brooklyn like you. My homeboy Nando, my homeboy Chado. They both like Panamanian from Brooklyn or whatever.
Right.
And you know I'm originally from Philly. And we had a couple other black people, and we were all like not your typical IT people. You know what I'm saying? We all kind of sort of came from the hood, and we all randomly kind of sort of just found IT. You know what I'm saying? Like we weren't people that grew up with computers, and like, you know, we just happened to find it. You know. Yeah. So somebody came in the office one day. Some not black person came in the office one day and said something borderline like stereotypical racist, like, hey, how do you do this dance or some stupid shit like that or whatever. And I just got heated, man. I just got kind of sort of lost it. Started going on this big ass rant about black people ain't gotta dance, and you know I'm on my shit, like, you know, and you know, when that person left, it was just the black people in the office, and like I was just going on this rant about how black people can do whatever, and black people ain't gotta be this, and black people ain't gotta be that, and you know, look at all of us in here. All of us, we came from different hoods, and you from Brooklyn, I'm from Philly. We none of us are your stereotypical black person. I'm just going on a rant. I'm losing my shit. And we had like a whiteboard at work, like a dry erase board, and I was like, basically like, we're black, and we work this job, we're like nerds or whatever, but we like real niggas or whatever. We like the mafia and shit. So it kind of like. It was on like, you know, like a part in the movie where they say the title of the movie, you know, in the movie. It was like that. It was like, we like a Black Nerd Mafia. And it was like, my boy Ned was like, oh, that's dope. And that was like 2014. Like 2014, didn't think nothing of it. Fast forward.
Right.
Yeah, fast forward, 2020. I'm talking to my son. My 17-year-old son. I'm always like pushing, you know, being an entrepreneur on him. And he's like, you know, finally, I guess he just got fed up, whatever, one day. And he was like, well, Dad, you're always telling me to be an entrepreneur. You always tell me to own my own business. He was like, well, why don't you own your own business? Why do you go to work for somebody every day? And yeah, it hit me like a ton of bricks, you know, because I didn't have an answer for him. And right there, you know, I was like, son, you know what? You're right. Absolutely right.
You're right.
And literally the next day, there was a Black Nerd Mafia LLC. I went to like LegalZoom and figured out, I didn't even know how to do it. I just figured out how to start an LLC. And I was like, all right, as a placeholder, I remember the name Black Nerd Mafia. And I was like, I'll just name it this as a placeholder until we could think of a better name for the business. And, you know, that's how we get right here right now. You know, that's where we get this from. And, you know.
I mean, I think that's super interesting because we don't talk, especially among our community as men, black fathers.
Right.
We don't talk about how much our black sons hold us accountable, right? And I think we kind of champion the fact that we showing up as black dads.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we, hoorah, ain't
tell you
no
what,
deadbeat
like,
dad over here.
It's
Like.
so fun. It's so funny is that, like, I'll tell people all the time, like, don't patronize me. Like, I feel like people like will say I'm a good dad for just doing basic shit, and I'm like, well, yeah, of course I did that. That's my son. That's my child. That's my wife. That's my whatever. It's like, of course. I think, like, I don't know if the bar just got set so low by some people that, like,
I think that's what it is. I really think that's what it is.
But it's like I tell some people like basic stuff like that I do, like, oh my God, I can't believe you do this. I'm like, nah, anybody does that for their family. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like tooting my own horn. I'm like, it's like, this is what you're supposed to do, and it's like, if
Right.
if the man in your life isn't doing this thing, then maybe
You might want to
you shouldn't do it or
reevaluate.
whatever. I don't know, but
Yeah.
like my sons definitely hold me accountable. My son's like, I told my sons question everything. Even if it's I can't talk. Even if it's from me, like if I say something, you need to go fact check it. You need to go make sure that I'm right because I could be wrong, And I think that raising them like that kind of sort of sometimes it's a pain in the ass because they literally will question me on anything. But I would much rather them question me than to just accept some bullshit from somebody on the street, If they'll question me, they'll question anybody,
Right.
They'll question their teacher, they'll question the police officer, and that's what I want them to do. I don't want them to be easy prey, an easy target for anybody that can just bully them into agreeing with them or doing some dumb shit with them. Like, nah, your homeboy say, get in the car, let's do this. You're like, why? Why are we doing that? What are we gonna do? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen if this happens? I want my sons to be able to, process that information and, not be afraid to have a conversation with somebody. And I feel like if they're not afraid to call me on my bullshit, then they can talk to anybody,
That's
so
a fact.
that's just, that's kind of how I've been raising my boys.
Right. So it's like a safe group or like a like-minded kind of thing.
Yeah, it was basically like it was this idea that like black people don't exist in this box of blackness. Like most people think this stereotypical thing that you like rap and basketball and big booty women and that's what a black dude is, and it's like
Right.
We were not out trying to prove, but like we were telling people like especially being black men that worked in a space where we were the minority, that we didn't live in this box of blackness, that we could do whatever. We could go spelunking or skydiving or whatever, and that doesn't make you any less black than, and it's like, you black people can do whatever the fuck we want to do. We don't have, there's no box of blackness that you could keep us inside of. And then, the name Black Nerd Mafia just kind of sort of came from like us just being like, we're black, we work in this predominantly what people would consider nerdy career field.
Right.
But we kind of sort of thorough dudes, you know what I'm saying? We, we're not your typical, so like, like that's where the Mafia part came in, just kind of for fun. Black people got to make shit sound cool. So,
Right. No, I mean.
it's way more, the name is way more menacing than it actually is.
Right.
There's
right.
no tough guys whatsoever, no toughness behind it whatsoever, But yeah, it's just like, who is Black Nerd Mafia? It's like, if you want black people to be free and you think that black people are equal and you think that black people are just as intelligent as anybody else, then you could be Black Nerd Mafia, I guess. As long as you believe in those things, that black people should be free and have the same rights and have, be equal to everybody else, and that black people are intelligent as anyone else, then that's really like the core principles of what I believe, and that's the things I'll be fighting for. So, if you have that like-minded mentality, because some black people, it ain't all not black people. Some black people don't think that black people are smart. You know what I'm saying? Some black people don't. Some black people are white supremacists, you know what I'm saying? So I've grown up like being like a, quote unquote like nerd all my life, where I was
Right.
like, most of the classes I was in school from like elementary to high school, I was the only black person in my class, most
I
of
was
the
gonna
time.
ask you that, right? I was gonna ask if where you were. Are you actually a nerd? When you were in school?
So like, I was in all these like gifted and talented classes growing up, and I was like the only black kid in there or whatever. But I think that luckily for me is that like, I had, a lot of black kids that get put in these programs get lost. They get lost, and because you're the only black kid and you want to fit in so bad that you just kind of sort of take whatever treatment comes to you from the people in your classes around you. And I just was never like that. You know what I'm saying? I lived like in the hood, whatever. So like I was in school with them all day long, in class with them. But like when I got off the bus, I was playing ball with all my friends, like all the black kids or whatever. So it was like I was never like in that world socially. You know what I'm saying? So like I kind of had the best of both worlds. Like socially, I hung out with all my black friends. We did whatever we would do as kids growing up. But in school, I was in school in class with these white kids or whatever. So I kind of sort of got to learn the nuances of their culture while still, you know, being deeply involved in our culture. You know what I'm saying? So, but definitely, you know, early on, had people try to like try me for being smart. You know, like, oh, you talk white, or you're using these big words, spell it, you know what I'm saying, shit like that or whatever. But I'm also nice with these jokes, so you know that didn't last very long. So you know, so I was always pretty good with the words. That, you know, you ain't gonna talk shit to me and get an easy W unless I just, you know, unless I give it to you. So
right.
Yeah, growing up being, you know, being black and being like being the only black person in class, definitely, I can see how it gives people a complex, you know.
Yeah, I think.
And luckily that didn't happen to me.
I think in our community, it's let's use a nerd word, like it's an epidemic. Like we think it's cool to not be intelligent. Is that safe to say, man? Like, okay. Here's what I would say. I would think that people want you to think that. But I don't think that it's true. Here's what I will say. Here's what I will say. All right.
So you'll meet black people who were similar to me. They grew up similar to me, and they can't stand other black people. They hate other black people because they're like, well, when I was growing up, all the black people were mean to me, and they said I talked white and da 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 da. So I only hung out with the white kids, and that is why I did that or whatever. And that's how you kind of get that narrative that black people don't like smart people or black people don't whatever. And that's bullshit. Because I'll tell you what, because I am that person. Okay. I've never had a problem with black people, like, you know, not liking me or hanging out or whatever. Black people don't like corny people. That's okay. All it is. Yeah, I'm looking at this camera like, yo, if you were smart your whole life and you grew up in these like classes and you think that black people didn't like you because you were smart, or black people didn't like you because you spoke white, no, you was just corny. You was corny. Black people don't like corny people. You know what I'm saying? You was probably corny, you didn't know nothing about our culture, and they teased you about it. And when they teased you about it, you act like a little bitch about it, and they kept on teasing you about it, you know? You can't back down from black people teasing you. If you back down from black people teasing you, they're just gonna keep on doing it. And it has zero to do with how you speak or how properly you speak. It has zero to do with your complexion. It has zero to do with how smart you are. You fucking corny, man. Period. Don't edit that shit. Really, because like all black nerds aren't created equal. You got the people that's like, you know, these other black nerds who will never ever be around another black person if they had their way. You know, at work, even as adults, I see it in adult black people not wanting to be around other black people because of how they grew up or whatever. Like, nah, man, you just corny. That's it. That's why girls, black, you know, it's always be the guys. Black women never found me attractive, and black women never, you know, wanted me. So that's why like, no, you just fucking corny, man. Black women don't like corny dudes. Women, because I'll tell you this. I can tell you this. I think I can speak. I think I can speak on this. That black women love smart dudes. I would go on the fence and say black women love like intelligent, smart dudes. If you got a little bit of swag with it, if you can like package it. Like, you can't just be smart. Like, no girl's gonna like if you just a nerd, like nothing else to go with it. Nobody's gonna, black, white, whatever, because you're just not interesting as a person. You know what I'm saying? But if you're smart and you know how to talk to people and you can do whatever, then, you know, I've never had a problem with anybody saying, oh, you too white, or I'd never date you because you're too corny. Like, nah, because I know my culture, I know my people, I know how to, I'll put it like this. You can put me in any room in America. You put me in a room with a bunch of billionaires. You can put me in a hood, any hood USA, and I'm gonna fit in just fine. You know what I'm saying? Because my own people don't make me feel uncomfortable. And neither do rich white people, because I know how to deal with them too, you know? So, yeah, just don't be corny. If you lame, yeah. It's like the same thing, like I will say this, because there are white nerds too, and they don't get any girls and nobody likes them. It's not because they black, it ain't because white people don't like smart people. It's not because nobody likes corny people. Nobody likes corny people. Stop fucking being corny. You might get some pussy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so. that just got dark. I don't know why I got so aggressive about that. Like,
No.
Because
I want to say this.
Listen, that shit really bothers me. Like, black people that don't fuck with other black people, because of like either how they grew up or whatever. That shit really bothers me, man. Like don't fuck with me if you don't like black people. If you're a black person that don't like black people, like, but I like you though. Like, nah, man, get the fuck out of here. Don't. That shit bothers the fuck. That's probably one of my top 5 pet peeves. That black people that don't fuck with other black people. Like,
the internet appreciates your sentiments, and you know, Joe Biden's internet appreciates
Joe Byron. Tell Joe Byron. Tell Joe Byron.
Joe Byron.
Stop being fucking corny. You a fucking nerd. Get out of here. Fuck out of here, Joe Byron. You a corny ass nigga and shit. Like.
Joe Byron appreciates this moment right now.
Shout out Joe Byron.
I mean, listen.
Oh
let's be very clear,
okay,
right?
Right.
It's the truth. It's not that we're making something up or you're making something up. It is the truth. And I think that when we think back through the guys, you know, they were nerds. They were corny.
Listen, I mean, like straight A's like my whole life. I've been really smart, good test scores. I speak how I speak or whatever, and I've never had a problem getting a black girl in my life. You know that, and I look like this. I'm not no super handsome dude or whatever, but like I ain't corny though. And that's all you got to do is just don't be corny. That's it. You can get bad chicks to be funny, man.
Oh God.
And smart. Damn, this nigga know he can read 3-syllable words.
Oh man,
yeah. I'm on the team, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Being a transplant, I think at heart, I'm a super inquisitive person. So like if I discover something that's interesting, I'm going to read it. You know, I'm going to try to find out what it is. And so underneath me being cool, I really like, you know, weird nerd things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Like I like super weird shit, man. Because the nerd shit, like the nerd is like not some kind of I couldn't think of a better word, so I wanted to use nerd. Like, no, I'm a fucking nerd, man. Like, you know, I like weirdo shit, you know. I'm a pretty weird dude, and I'm fine with that, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, with black people, as long as you can package it in a cool thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you just looked at my individual interests by themselves, you'd be like, this dude kind of sketchy. But like the way I put it together, it kind of works, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I noticed that you got a dog. You love dogs.
Oh yeah.
Like talk to me about that real quick, cause you like that's like your homie.
That's
like.
my dog. That's my dog. I'm smiling already. That's my dog, Biggie. I love my dog, man. That's my so my wife got me that dog for my birthday last year.
Oh, okay.
And
adopted dog or was
no, it was a puppy. He was a puppy. I got it. I'll send you his. He got his own Instagram or whatever.
Yeah. You were that corny, like you.
I'm not corny, yo. I got an Instagram for my dog.
You ain't doing it cornily.
His name is Biggie.
And it's not corny.
Yeah. That's my guy, man. Yeah, like so, like it's weird, man. Like just kind of how like the transformations that you go through as a person. So, you know, I think I grew up in a stereotypical black household where I don't think we ever would think about having a dog. Yeah, mother and father. You know, I have 5 brothers and 1 sister. But yeah, like I would never think of having a dog. An inside dog is was like a foreign concept to me. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of black people that I knew at the time were not letting dogs stay in their house. Like you had a dog named King, and he was leashed to a tree in the backyard, and he just stayed out there. You know, but like and so I didn't really grow up with a love of like animals like that. And like my wife got a dog a few years ago. She got like a little teacup Yorkie or whatever, and that was cool. It's like, you know, that was the first time having an inside pet. And like now I have this dog. It's like now I am totally 1,000,000% on board. I get the whole dog thing. I get it. I get it now.
I get it.
I get it. Like I get John Wick now. I get John Wick. Like I get like if somebody kills my dog, I'm gonna probably do the same thing that he did. My dog is like my guy, man. Like we be hanging out, we be chilling. Like I am 1,000,000% on this dog thing, man. Like taking my dog to me when I go like to restaurants that let dogs in there. Yeah. Best gift I ever got in my whole life. You know what I'm saying? I got it last year. I'm 42 years old. That's the best gift I've ever gotten in my life.
For sure. I wanted to ask you about IT, right? Mm-hmm. For those of us that don't know what IT is really, right?
Like information technology, IT is information technology, and it's your phone, it's your computer, it is. So I guess there's a lot of different aspects that go into IT or whatever. So like I do like IT security or whatever. So there are Russian bad guys constantly trying to hack your shit all the time.
Right.
There's Russian bad guys, not just Russian, like all kinds of like Korean, Chinese, whatever, always constantly trying to hack everything in America.
Right.
Like everything, servers, the government, your phone, your Gmail, your whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Somebody is constantly trying to hack every fucking thing that they can or whatever. And what I do is try to prevent the people from getting in your shit or whatever. Like at a higher level, like I work for like the government or whatever.
Right. So when you get to the nuts and bolts of it, you have access to information, or is it that you have a skill set that I don't have?
I would say I'll put it like this. Also, IT is like it's so broad. It's like it could be like your email goes down at work, and the person that comes to fix it is that's the IT guy. That is IT as well. But it could also be the guy working at NASA building the computer that helps the flight simulator thing inside of the rocket is also like an IT guy. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
So it's a pretty big field, and you can get IT in a lot of different areas, and you can get in it like with a very minimal skill set, or you can have a very high skill set. You know what I'm saying? Like you can get a good paying IT job with very little investment. IT is more certification based than it is education based, meaning that like they would much rather me have this Microsoft certification that I took this test for than to have a bachelor's degree. You know what I'm saying? I made very good money with no degree. I'll say that. With no degree whatsoever, I made a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? And then I kind of just got a degree because I used to be in the military and I had the GI Bill. I was just like, I didn't have anything else better to do. It was like, oh, it's just sitting here. I'll just get a degree because I don't have anything else better to do. And I got a degree and it just made me even more money. You know what I'm saying? Like same job, just telling them that I have a degree now got me more money. I will say this, and I tell this to every young black person that I meet. Getting involved in IT will make you the most amount of money with the least amount of investment on your part. So if you're watching this, get in IT. You can probably spend, if you buckle down and read the books, you could probably spend you could spend $5,000 and set yourself up to be making 6 figures with no degree, if you're smart about it. And I tell people all the time, I will, if I know you personally, and people will testify this, I'll give you the exact blueprint. I'll tell you exactly what you need to do. I'll tell you step 1 through 10, exactly how to do it. It's not. I think IT and working with computers is one of those things that people think you have to be smart to do. Like this is like you're a computer nerd. They just automatically assume that you have this level of intelligence. They're like, oh well, he's super smart. Like,
super genius.
Nah, man, this shit is easy. I get paid a lot of money to look at a computer screen all day, and it's really easy.
You've really taken, I wouldn't say even an affectionate liking to the 5 Deadly Venoms, and what you're doing with them kind of inspires me in a way that I just want to keep paying attention to what you're doing with them, right? And so I want to know why you did that, why you chose them. I just want to understand it, bro.
I'm glad you asked that, man. I think I owe it to black women.
Okay.
I'll put it that way. I think that the life that I lived and things that I've done and said, I think that going forward, like the rest of my life, I want to put a lot of conscious effort into helping black women. Because honestly, keep it a buck, I've done a lot to fuck with them, to have negative
outcomes and
results. I've said negative things about black women. I have treated black women poorly at times. You know what I'm saying? I have, so I feel like, I'm in a place now to where I'm just a different person I used to be, and just like, being older and, realizing that like some of the things that I've said and did before were just like really hurtful to people that I loved. And I realized that I never meant the things in the way that I was saying them. So like, like here's an example of like saying like, black women are difficult. You know what I'm saying? Saying something like that, whatever.
Okay.
something that I have said before, that black women can be difficult and hard to deal with in relationships, and it might be easier to deal with somebody that wasn't black. Get a non-black woman. I have said those things before. I have.
What do you think changed your perspective? Because you're married to a black woman.
I'm married to a black woman, and like I said,
woman.
I'm keeping it a buck.
Yeah.
I was saying these things while I was married to a black woman. You know what I'm saying? I was saying very disrespectful things and having very disrespectful thoughts about black women while being married to a black woman.
That's cold.
Yeah. I mean,
that's cold.
Like I said,
where does that come from, though?
It comes from. So, okay, I want to say this without absolving myself of any guilt. I mean, I make it seem like I'm using these things for an excuse.
Understood.
Because I'm taking 100% accountability for my actions that,
hear that.
things I did in the past. Whatever.
I think we hear that.
But I grew up in the 80s and the 90s or whatever. And basically a lot of, things that I grew up on never made it seem like it was cool to like respect black women or whatever. Like my freshman year of high school, Doggy Style comes out, the year before that, The Chronic, and one of the songs you hear, bitches ain't shit. Bitches ain't shit, but we got a whole generation of people my age that grew up singing "bitches ain't shit," but hoes, and and it's like that type of mentality. Just seeing those type of things like my whole life, and how people, my interactions with black women, and then
we were
being hurt by a black woman, and then taking that hurt and making it seem like every black woman was responsible for that hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like,
understood.
All black women are like this.
Right.
And I was like I said, I'm taking accountability. I was 1,000,000% that guy. You know what I'm saying? Saying these things, calling other women like exotic. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, these women are beautiful because they're exotic. It's like, no, these women they have, basically like putting these other women up on a pedestal for essentially having the same characteristics and features that black women have always had. But you see it on like a J-Lo and say, oh, J-Lo got this amazing ass, or, such and such got these amazing lips, or whoever, but not knowing that like black women have always had these things and always been a blueprint for what these people want. But hype, bigging these things up when you see them in other people or other races and not appreciating them or calling those same things ghetto when you see them on a black woman or whatever. So like I said, I was 1,000,000% that guy, man. I'm not trying to run from those things. And like I said a lot of these things while married to a black woman, you know what I'm saying? I started going to therapy a few years ago, evolving as a person, and just realizing that some of the things that I was saying was ignorant. So a lot of these ideas that I had were ignorant. Just reassessing these thoughts I had, these ideas I had, and knowing that they were probably never accurate or wrong in the first place, and like, why was I thinking these things or whatever? And like I said, I don't want to make music or whatever, act like it's responsible for my behavior, because I'm an adult person, I'm responsible for my own things, but I was definitely influenced by, that's all I listened to was like this music, and like, you see these music, these videos, and these things that essentially, just degrade and bash black women all the time. It is hard to not yourself have a negative attitude, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I'm trying to unlearn and, other things, whatever. And it's just like, I know that some people that know me in the past are like, oh, this sounds corny, this nigga, he lying, he just trying to, I'm not trying to like patronize anybody. It's just like, I legitimately feel bad. So anyway, so where we get to like the 5 Venoms or whatever, it's just like, it kind of reminded me of the like, at every turn in my life, they were the ones that were always there for me when I needed somebody. I've been making a concerted effort and like, when I'm dealing with like black women to try to just be better, man, to try to just not be a piece of shit. And it's like, it's like, it's almost like I don't want to like put stuff out there like this because like, it'll always be somebody like, oh, but that one time you saw me, you said this. And like, it's like, you try to say that I want to change, I want to be a better person, and people will just constantly try to remind you of who you are.
I've been intentional with black women that come on this platform and asking the question and saying, what can we do to get better?
Right.
Why is there a breakdown? What is it? What is the problem? What is the issue? So that we can put the message out there and be clear so we can at least have the conversation.
Right. This for me is like, I felt like for so long, I was just part of the problem, you know what I'm saying? Part of the conversation, like women will be like, oh, niggas ain't shit, and I would just immediately get defensive and be like, well, y'all ain't shit, women ain't shit, instead of like, black people are never going to get anywhere like that with like black women and black men just bickering back and forth. You know, somebody has to, I don't want to say this the right way. I don't want to say this the wrong way. For lack of a better term, somebody has to be the bigger person eventually. Somebody has to extend the olive branch to, like, eventually.
Yeah,
Because if you just like, niggas ain't shit, oh, bitches ain't shit, like,
right.
and that's your only conversation, you're never going to get anywhere. And eventually, somebody has to swallow their pride and be like, I'm sorry. You know, like, and like with the Venoms, like, all of them, like, I'm just starting this company, and every single one of them have been nothing but nice, have been nothing but helpful, have been nothing but like, I'll do this shit for free, I'll do whatever you need me to do. And it's like, again, it just showed me again, black women again, helping me out when I needed help. You know, Tam, you know, that's my homie. Tam, like, is pretty much responsible for a lot of the shit you see, a lot of the shows you see, because Tam put me on to a lot of these people, you know what I'm saying? Tam the Vibe, by the way. And, you know, so Tam, Mila, Tony, Kenya, Lady T, like, those my dogs, man. Like, I'm gonna, like, they put me in a good light, so I'm always gonna, like, look out for them. I'm always gonna, like, big them up. I'm always gonna like put them on a pedestal, and just because they're just fucking dope, you know what I'm saying? Like, just dope. On the side, you know, everything else to the side, they're just fucking dope as shit. Like Mila a fucking monster, you know what I'm saying? Tam a fucking monster, Tony a fucking monster, Kenya smooth as shit, you know, Lady T, she's super nice. And I feel like if I can have any part in like them, cause I'm pushing, like, y'all need to do this shit. I wanna give like a safe space for black women to like come perform and to come do shows.
Sure. I mean, well, here's this thing, right? Because I'm asking you why them, because it seems like it was a strategic thing that you did, and it's working out. It's working. Specifically, like with I was most impressed. Well, I know Tam, of course, and I like Tony's music. I like Tam's music too. Right. But when I heard Tony's album, the one that just came out, I was like, oh, wow, this is very different than anything I've heard from a female, you know. Then I heard Ben, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, Mila is a fucking monster, yeah.
Very different, right? And you know, the vibe that Lady T brings and Kenya T, right? You know, it's just like, oh, wow.
And that's why, like you know, because the first show was just gonna be that 5 Venom show. Initially was I booked Tam, Tony, and Mila. It was just them 3. That was the show. This before the Poetry in Pajamas, where I had Kenya. So Kenya performed at the Poetry in Pajamas, and I was like, oh shit, no. These 2 right here need to be with these 3 over here. So I went to I hit up Tam and Mila, and Tony was like, yo, I know it's gonna be y'all 3 headlining, but I just got this feeling, Kenya and Lady T. And real shit, they immediately was like, yes, hell yeah, bring them in, we love them. Like, there was no like jealousy, no shade, they was like, yes, bring them in. And I was like, you know, women have a stigma, a history of like, you know, like not like being catty with each other and not liking each other. Like all 5 of them, like you see how they interact online, they all love, they're all nice to each other. When we got together, like you saw for the cypher, they all, you know,
it was a vibe.
It was a vibe, and it's like I love that about them.
It was a vibe.
It's like, I was like, you know, and like I think Cree had put them together before as well.
Shout out to Cree.
Shout out to Cree.
Cree is beautiful, man.
Yeah, I like Cree.
Yeah, Cree, man, she's a beautiful spirit, man.
It's a huge scene here of independent artists. And to keep it a buck, man, most of them are female. From what I've seen, most of the dope artists in Colombia that are independent that I've seen that I've liked the most have been like women. There are dope male artists, but I mean like most of the ones that I've liked have been female. You know, hip hop is very ageist. You know,
I mean,
so like
your platform encourages me as an artist, right? Because like I'm like, oh man, this is the opportunity. This is the space that I need to be created for me to share. Like, you know, and that's really the heart of, you know, what you do.
That's one of the biggest things that, from what I've done, that I'm the most proud of, is that like I can see like from my events, like people maybe like they deep down had this talent that they wanted to do and they were afraid to do it, and now coming to my show gave them the confidence to do it. And like I saw this other independent local person do it, so I can do it too. Like it gave them the confidence. So it's like I'm seeing that, and people are thanking me like, yo, thank you for having this event. This energy was dope. It's like, because you know, you go to a lot of hip hop shows it's a very like negative energy in the room, you know what I'm saying? It's a very intimidating energy in the room. People battling, people being very aggressive, a lot of dudes, very few females. And I wanted to create an environment that was like very inclusive, like of not just other races, but like even like black, because there's certain black people I know that wouldn't go to a hip hop show, especially with a girl, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I want to make a dope hip hop event that you can take your girl to. A lot of people that get on the stage have never performed before, so I want to give that platform to like beginners, because sometimes you never understand how passionate you are, how much you love it, till you get on that stage and you get that bug. Like you get on stage, you talking to that mic, and you feel it. You feel that power in that microphone. You're like, oh, I never felt it. Oh, this feels right. You know what I'm saying? That's why you ever seen videos of me like I'm holding the microphone like this, like you feel that power, like
Yeah.
And it's like I want to give people that platform, that like there are a lot of people. I'll put it like this: there are a lot of talented people out there that never got their shot, that never got their chance to do whatever.
In their platform.
Because, they became a parent, because they got locked up, because whatever the case may be. And it's like, now you're of a certain age that you think that it's too late for me to do this thing because, I spent my whole life raising my kids, or I spent my whole life locked up, or I spent my life in the church, or whatever it is. It's like, but you got to a point in your life where now you feel that creative itch. I want to give people that platform, that mom, that dad, that dude that just got out. I'm providing a platform for black dopeness. And it doesn't have an age limit. It doesn't have gender. It don't have like, it ain't like, right, it's just like black dopeness. You black, you dope, let's go, let's get it.
Let's do it.
Let's get it, period. Let's work together,
Yeah. I said, let's give you a round of applause for going to therapy. And every time I say it, every time I see a black man, I'm talking about a black man in therapy at the same time, bro, I'm going to celebrate, okay? Because we don't do doctors, we don't do therapy, we don't do water, right? These are the boxes that we get put in, bro.
Right.
Right. So let's talk about therapy real quick, man.
Like right before the pandemic, I started going to therapy.
All right.
And
what made you do that?
When I was little, when I was a kid, when I was living in Philly or whatever, I got like sexually molested by my older brother.
Yeah.
And like torture, like physically like tortured.
Your
like,
brother?
My brother, my older brother. Like we lived in Philly, like we were like latchkey kids or whatever. So like my parents go to work, we would just be at home or whatever. And yeah, that shit happened. And never told anybody about it. You know what I'm saying? Like my whole life, like my parents didn't know because my parents were at work. And I just kept that shit in me. I never told anybody. It went from being afraid of my brother to being like embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? Like I spent the rest of my life. It went from being afraid as like a little kid to just being embarrassed. Like, got married, and this thing like me and my wife are like at odds. We're going at it all the time. Shit is not peaceful. Work fucking sucks. I'm at it with my boss all the time. Like I started gaining all this weight. I'm probably like when I was like in high school and college, I was probably like the same size I am now. But for like a long time until 2020, I was like 245. You know what I'm saying? I was 80 pounds heavier than I am now, right? 2020, when I started going to therapy.
I can't even imagine how unhealthy that is, man. Like,
2020, when I started going to therapy, when you see the video, well, I lost some weight in that video, but like you'll see like since 2020 when I started going to therapy, I lost like 80 pounds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, like I said, so like, that answering your question, it's like all that shit, like you said, happened to me when I was a kid, the abortion thing, and then like having problems with my wife. Like I was ready to fucking kill myself, man. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't want to fucking be here. I didn't want to deal with this world. But the only reason why I didn't kill myself was like because of my sons. You know what I'm saying? They didn't ask to be here. So I basically lived an existence where I didn't want to be alive, but I chose to be just to take care of my sons or whatever. And that shit sucked. Like every day sucked. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like life at all. You know what I'm saying? I think like something happened in my brain, like it just snapped and all that shit just started hitting me at once. And it was like driving me crazy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think it was like, I was like losing it, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, just crying uncontrollably. The thing that therapy gave me that, talking to anybody else, it's like, for me, it was like, if I told my parents, I gotta tell my parents all this stuff. If I tell whoever, I gotta tell people that I love and that know me, they're gonna know my business, they're gonna know all this personal stuff. And I didn't want people to know that because they know me and I don't want them like judging me or whatever. But with the therapist, she was just a stranger, and I didn't care what she thought about me. So that gave me like a liberty and a freedom, like I could tell her anything, things I have never told anybody before, that like thoughts I had, and things that I did. Like
That's
when I was
value,
when I was in 5th grade, I pulled up this girl's skirt one time, like just little, like any little thing I felt guilty about. I told her because like I didn't give a fuck if she judged me or not. I didn't care if she judged me because she was a stranger, you know?
Right.
So like oddly enough, you think that like the people that you love and the people that are in your life, those are the people that are gonna help you the most. But like those are the people that you really don't want to know your secrets. You know what I'm saying? You don't really want your people that love to know your deep, deep, dark secrets or whatever. And like I said, this woman that knew me for 45 minutes knows more about me than people that have known me my whole life. But like, yo, when I walked outside of that first session, I felt like I was a different person. I felt like I was like no corny shit, like the sky seemed bluer, like the grass seemed greener, like I just seemed happier. Like it felt like 1,000,000 pounds had been lifted off of me or whatever. It's like this secret that I've been carrying my whole life that I thought was this most embarrassing thing that I could ever tell anybody, that if anybody ever knew this, they would ruin me because they knew, like I told all the shit and it felt good. Therapy has just made me a completely different person. I am experienced more joy and happiness since February 2020 than I have my entire life. The joy in my life up until then was like my 2 sons being born.
Getting free, but then it's also staying free from whatever bondage that life may have dealt you. You know, because remembering back to 5 years old, your trauma, like I'm trying to remember the things that I remember from 5 right now. And it's very vague. I think it's maybe 1st grade, maybe some baby Jordans on my feet or something like that. I remember Jordans being important. What's your relationship with your older brother now?
I don't fuck with him at all. You know, it's in that video or whatever, and like I said, I don't want to rehash everything, but like part of my therapy was talking to him and confronting him. You know what I'm saying? Like we had never talked, like me and him had never talked about this thing, you know, since we were kids.
So you actually ended up confronting him
I called him, you know what I'm saying? I called him. No, he still lives in Philly, you know what I'm saying? I called him. I'll pretty much tell you exactly what it was said. Like I went to therapy and I wasn't angry anymore, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't angry, I wasn't mad anymore, I wasn't ashamed anymore. So I went into it like with a clear mind, like, you know, I pretty much was like this, like you was a kid, like you were a kid too, you know? Maybe something happened to you, I don't know. You know, why you did what you did, I don't know why you did it, you know what I'm saying? But that's fine, you know, let's just talk about it and like, let's talk about it and then from there we can, you know, build a relationship and maybe be brothers again or whatever. Maybe
what was the response like?
What you talking about?
So there was no,
I said,
there was no
I was like, yo man, like, come on, let's not do this, man. Let's talk. I said, no, like I said, I'm giving you every opportunity. Like I'm not upset with you. I'm not mad at you. I'm not. And at this point, I told him, I was like, yo, I will never tell anybody else what happened. Me and you just got to talk. Just me and you have a conversation. I won't tell mom and dad. I won't tell anybody. Let's just have this conversation and we can hash it out from there. What you talking about? I said, yo, man, just like this. That was the second time I said, yo, I'm gonna say this again. And if we can't have a conversation, then I don't want to talk to you anymore. I said, if you care anything about me being your brother, if you anything, I'm giving you this opportunity. I'm telling you right now, I'm giving you a safe space that I don't care. You know, let's talk. What you talking about? All right. Bye. That's 2020. That's the last time I ever talked to him.
So that's incredibly hurtful. How much older than you is your brother?
Like 6 years. So like I was like 6 years old. He was probably like 13, something like that. Something like that. Like I think he's like 6 years older than me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but you spare us the details. I mean, just like we could clearly, you know, imagine what that's like. For me, I'm just like, that's a lot, bro. That's.
So like what you were saying was like, so the worst thing about it is I have a fucking amazing memory. You know what I'm saying?
That's
so
what I'm saying.
So like you said, like, you know, you can kind of vaguely remember, like imagine, and like I said, I don't even have to get into the details of it. Right, but like, you know, I can remember everything vividly like it happened yesterday. Like in my head, I can see it like it was fucking yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like I can relive the whole thing if I want to in my head. And part of going to therapy is me stopping myself from reliving that shit. You know what I'm saying? And me, or if it like just randomly popped in my head, to not freak out about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And
to be able to think through it and be like, okay, this happened. You know, whatever. And it, you know, the thing about it, the thing that made it easier was I saw that like how I felt when I talked to my therapist, like how much better that made me feel.
Do you think maybe he wanted you to say it and it wasn't said?
I thought about that.
He just wanted you to say
because when we talked, I never specifically said explicitly, hey, this, what about this? And I was like, I was like, you know what happened when we were kids? So.
And then you gained his agreement. He was like, I remember.
Yeah, and so it was talking about other stuff like this, and like, you know, it was just like, you know, I gave him an opportunity. You know,
You did.
I was more. I would say I was more. I was nicer than I had to be in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've been carrying that thing my whole life, and then like that's what you got to say. Then like that's fine. Like I don't even want to make the shit about him or whatever. That's fine.
Right.
So like so that's fine. So like then you know, one of the hardest things I had to do was like, all right, I don't want any secrets or whatever. I told my sons. You know what I'm saying? I sat my sons down and I said, you know, hey boys, you know, let's have a conversation. When I was a kid, this happened to me, your uncle, you know, blah, blah, blah. I told them everything, you know.
What was their response
like?
like?
You know, they were shocked. They were quiet. You know, they were quiet. They were shocked. You know, I did it because I was like, okay, you know, like so with that situation, you just never know, man. You just never know things that happen to people. So like, maybe if something happened to them when they were like at daycare or something like that, or something, you know, like I wanted to give them
a voice,
like, no, like, hey, it's okay. This happened. It's, you know, you can talk to me. You can talk to me and your mom. If you don't feel comfortable talking to me and your mom, we'll get you guys a therapist. You can talk to a therapist, which we go to like family counseling and family therapy. But like, this is before we went. We're like, yo, if you want to talk, you don't have to talk to me. And I told him like, yo, if anybody's ever done anything to hurt you, even if you think that I did something to hurt you, you need to tell somebody. The saddest thing is that of the majority of the people that I've told, they have either themselves said that something that happened to them or something happened to someone they knew. And I was like, this shit is like way more prevalent than we think it is. Like, especially like for men, because I think that men have a tendency, like to me, be more ashamed and think that like, if it happened to them from another man, that this might make you gay, or people will think you're gay, or, you know, so it's a lot more, you know, and being tough and being a man and like masculinity, you know, that's what I'm saying. That is how much like what they call a toxic masculinity. That is what it is. That even something that happened to me when I was 5 years old, I feel like, you know, in my head, like, yo, why didn't you fight him, or why didn't you, you know, why didn't you do something, or because like as a man, like, you know, like
what could you do at 5? What could you do at 5?
But my whole life, I just grew up thinking like, why, you know,
me.
You know, the non-sexual stuff, like the torture stuff, was way worse. Like, imagine a 13-year-old kid that like this is like 80s or whatever, just watches wrestling and they just want to just like, I'm gonna make you my personal like doll to try everything that I've ever seen on TV, and I'm gonna try it on you. I'm gonna try to bend your arm and leg till I can feel it snap. I want to like do. I mean, I don't mean like Big Brother beating you up. I mean, tortured, like physically, like tortured. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then you just go through life, and you end up having this awkward relationship with your older brother in a way that
I had to share a room with him.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you get older, you realize how much closer in age you really are. And it's not like, oh, you forgot, or
right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
it's a thing where it's just like, you know, like I said, the secrets of having this burden on you. Like, I also at a very young age was aware that like, if I told on him, like, he would go to jail or something. I didn't know in my head like he would get taken away. And part of me like that's my brother. I don't want somebody to come take my brother away. Like, you know, like this weird,
Weird.
like I don't want
space.
somebody like hurt or take my brother away, or like I didn't even want to tell my dad because I thought my dad would physically kill him. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I was purposely like keeping these things, like I was at a young age keeping these things like with a, not just like because I was just purely scared, but with like a logic behind it. Like if I tell my dad, my dad's gonna fucking kill him. You know what I'm saying? Like I was protecting him. You know what I'm saying? Like I was protecting,
Right.
you know, and it's just, it is.
It's a weird space to be.
It's a weird space. Like I was always in it. Like so, like I said, and then like the older we got, you know, like
the weirder it got.
you know, I kind of was just blocking it out, and I would just act like it didn't happen. So we would just be playing together, hanging out. You know what I'm saying? You know, just doing other shit, act like it just didn't. Like I said, for 40 years or for 30 some years, I just didn't talk about it at all. You know
So
what I'm
this
saying?
revelatory experience you got from therapy birthed Black Nerd Mafia.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like maybe Black Nerd Mafia will maybe one day be a philanthropic like endeavor or whatever. And maybe that's what it will be. Maybe that's what it's supposed to be at the end of the day. It's just going to be like some, you know, charity type of thing or like helping people fully. At the end of the day, what I'm supposed to be doing is just helping people. But I have made $0 from this endeavor, and it has been the best experience of my life. Black Nerd Mafia it's not like Black Nerd Mafia sells hoodies or Black Nerd Mafia does social media management. Like, no, Black Nerd Mafia, I just do whatever the fuck I want to do, and I figure out how to fit it into my brand. It's going to always be a genuine, authentic thing, but one day, like I said, I might just be a public speaker. One day I might just write a book. One day I might make a movie. One day I might make an album. One day I might make whatever. I just do whatever the fuck I want to do and try to profit from it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to start that business, if you want to make that album, you want to make that movie, you want to be a model, you want to do whatever, you want to do what Darius is doing, you want to do what, you know, just go do it, you know, just fucking go do it. And it's like, I'm making it seem like it's so simple because it's just that simple. Black people have been tricked into this whole like loyalty, no new friends, keep your circle tight type shit or whatever. And I will say this, I will not just speak words, I will give you an example. None of my close friends or family members have been involved in anything that I've done with Black Nerd Mafia. Meaning what I'm saying is that like everything that I've done has been with either strangers or people that I've recently met or people that I don't know that well, you know? So Darius, I didn't know Darius 2 months ago, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know Tam 3 months ago. I didn't know Easy Ola 3 months, you know, I didn't know any of these people. I didn't know Greg at Curiosity 6 months ago or whatever. But now some of these relationships are the people that I deal with more than I deal with people that I've known my whole life, you know what I'm saying? So like, don't be so small-minded. Don't fall into that trap of like, you know, no new friends. Like, no, go out and meet people. Like, use your discernment. Like, don't, you know, let toxic people in your life, but don't also just close the door because you might meet your best friend. I don't care how old you are. You know what I'm saying? There are people now that I can see becoming like lifetime friends that I just met recently, you know, and I can see myself spending more time with them than people that I've known my whole life, you know. Don't close the door on new opportunities because of some faux loyalty to people who at the end of the day probably don't have your best interest at heart, you know? You know, so that's what I'm saying. Keep yourself open for new opportunities, especially if you're a creative, because like you can't create, you can, but you really don't want to create by yourself. I like having like, I seem like me, Darius, the 5 Venoms, Easy, Mitty, Curiosities, I feel like we're building a community of like-minded people, you know what I'm saying? And I like that I'm a part of it, you know what I'm saying? And I'm building the community that I want to be a part of, you know? So do that same thing for yourself. And if those people don't exist in your circle, that means you need to introduce yourself to more people and be more open, you know? Don't let loyalty keep you in a place that you don't want to be. Yeah. For
sure, man. Kwasi, Black Nerd Mafia, I appreciate you, King.
Appreciate you, sir. Thank you.